Today we are going to do a demonstration of the GUTTMAN Recording Wattmeter Type A. The GUTTMAN Type A Recording Wattmeter was the meter that made the demise of the Schallenberger Ampere Hour Meter. In Schallenberger started with his ideas for a recording wattmeter in 1898 when he approached the Illinois Watch Company to produce his meter. People would ask, why would you have a watch company making an electric meter? But when you stop and think of the dials and the pointers and all the gearing and everything inside the meter, what would be a better partner than a watch company? So eventually, when GUTTMAN finally got the Illinois Watch Company convinced to set up an electrical meter branch, there were two principals, a man and his son, by the name of Bunn, in Bunn Sr. and Bunn Jr., and Ludwig GUTTMAN, who was a German engineer. Now, Sangamo started out with Bunn Sr. as president, Ludwig GUTTMAN as vice president, and Bunn Jr. as the secretary-treasurer. And in the beginning, these things were fraught with a lot of problems, and companies that had bought them figured they were a bunch of junk. But eventually they persevered, and they came out with this particular meter, which you see before the camera. Now, it still has its cover partially on, but I previously made connections to the back of it, and we're going to use our 1300 watt incandescent lamp load, which you see here again on the floor. This will be the same unit that we'll use in all our demonstrations. Now, I'm going to go over and plug the cord in the wall. And as you can see, we have the 1300 watt incandescent lamp load. The lamp in the rear, the larger of the two, is the 1000 watt unit, and again the one closest and the smallest is the 300 watt unit. Now, the GUTTMAN Type A meter, as were a lot of the early recording watt meters, were designed for use on 133 cycles, which in the early days, my understanding is that there were different frequencies for different loads and distribution distance, etc. Now, I'm going to swing the camera back over on the GUTTMAN A. And because I previously removed the cover nut, I'm going to lift the cover off. And inside, as you can see, is a somewhat different mechanism. In this particular meter, it was actually the revolving drum that was actually turning in the magnetic field, and the disc on the bottom is not in the magnetic field of the electromagnets, but is in the permanent magnet, which you can see here. This is the braking magnet, which took the place of the moving vanes in the Ampere Hour meter. I'm just going to put my finger on this to stop the rotation, And you can notice on the disc that there are all these, I'm sorry, on the cylinder, all these diagonal slots. Now, those were put in there because this meter is actually intended to run on 133 cycles, which is no longer available. And again, 133 cycles was primarily for lighting loads. Lower frequencies, 50, 25, even 20 cycles were used for motor loads. Now, there's not a whole lot that we can do for accuracy on this on account of this thing was designed to be operated off a little better than twice as high a frequency. So it's a pretty simple device really when it comes right down to it. And again, we're going to just go back to our load. It's still burning, and regardless of whether they tell us nowadays that we have to do away with our incandescent lamps, I have a whole entire collection of different types of electric lamps over the years, and I think there'll be a few of them around for a good many years to come. Anyway, here we go back to the GUTTMAN A, which is still sitting here turning away very merrily on the incorrect frequency, but it still does operate for the purposes of this demonstration. These were called recording wattmeters because they actually measured in watts rather than kilowatts. And the first dial was 1,000 watts, second one was 10,000 watts, 100,000 watts, a megawatt, and 10 megawatts. So they went fairly high in the consumption. So that's the reason that they eventually geared things down and started measuring in watt hours. And I guess that's about all I can have to say on the GUTTMAN Type A meter for the purposes of this demonstration. I hope that you find these interesting, as I do, and I'm rather starting to enjoy putting these things together. Thank you very much for your interest.